So here we are back at the bench with our newly turned mounting jig, I suppose we could call it. And I did mention actually that I thought I'd made a schoolboy error here, and I'll show you why just now, but I got away with it, and I mean really more by luck than good judgment, I can assure you, but it was very, very close. The problem is, of course, is that that sits onto the table of the milling machine, and of course our T-slot bolt will go through here, as you can see there. Then our casting will locate on here, and then of course the clamp goes on, and then of course the nut screws down on the very, very simple clamping mechanism. No problems there. However, what I did focus out on was this casting here, and as you can see, if I just mount that, that will sit flush onto the table, and if I mount this and then slide this across, we have got here, I mean it really is, it's just, I estimate, I don't know what the thickness of that ruler is, but there we go, it's about it's exactly a half a millimeter. I reckon we've probably got maximum a millimeter of clearance here, so really very lucky, because that could have been really been a complete another waste of time. But hey, there you go, these things happen. But I just completely focused out on the on this casting. I was more interested in the diameters and the faces and that kind of thing, and it was only until I had it in the lathe and I put this on and then and tried it, and then I realized that wow, that was really, really close. But there we go. So what do we do now? What we're going to do is we're going to mount this on the lathe, on the milling machine, and what we're going to do is we're going to use this little item here. This is called a coaxial indicator, and what we'll do is we'll get this spinning in the milling machine, and then what we'll do then is we'll go in, and what we're looking to do is we're looking to get the exact center line of the machine. So what we can do then is when we come to putting our cutting tool in, which is on this adjustable sliding boring bar here, it means that we've got the correct center line of the machine all the way down. And I'm going to show you a little trick on the digital readout here, that what we're going to do is we're going to indicate one hole and then come across and indicate the second one. And the reason why I want to do that is I don't want to take out the coaxial indicator and then put in the cutting tool and then take it all down again and then re-indicate and then put the cutting tool back in. So what I want to do is I want to indicate both holes, and what I can do then is I can set the digital readout to take me, once I've cut this hole, I can go straight back and get to this the direct center line onto that. So that's really the next exercise. So it's over to the milling machine, and we'll get cracking with that. Okay, we can go ahead now and we can mount our casting. So there's our casting onto the machine there. Now you can see now just how just the clearance I had in there, you know. So that was just enough, which is good. And we'll put our T-slot in, T-slot mount now, put that on here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to line this up on the T-slot. We can put our clamp on now, and we can put our nut on. It's not critical that I get it lined up, it just makes it easier when we're moving the x-axis from one hole to the other. It just makes it that little bit easier. And we can tighten that down now. And that is a very, very good grip. I'm pleased with that. That's good. Now, to mount our coaxial indicator, what I'm going to use here is I'm going to use this this R8 collet chuck here. And the reason why I'm going to do this is because it just gives a very, very accurate location on the center line. Now, the other way I could do this is I could just use an ordinary drill chuck, which, you know, might actually be okay, but I actually prefer to get a much more direct sort of center line in here. So I'll just go ahead and we'll just get this set up. So we've now got our coaxial indicator set up, and what we've got is we've got this little probe here which goes into the internal diameter there, and you can see that the needle is moving. And what we're going to do now is we're going to rotate the spindle of the machine. We've got it locked in here so the whole thing can't spin round. So we'll just start her up and we'll see where we are. Now we can see there that we're actually quite a long way out. So what we need to do now is we need to move the XY axis to bring this to somewhere around about the sort of the zero here, and we might have to move the ring around just to get that right. But if we just come back now, we're going the right way here. And it's just gentle movements now. That click you can hear is just the spacer piece, which is not too much of an issue. And we're getting pretty close now. A little bit too far. And I reckon we're about a thousandths out on that. I'll just try and get it a little bit better. We've got that down to about 2/10 of a thou now. So I would pretty much call that directly in the center line there. That hole is directly in the center line of the spindle. And what we can do now is we can actually zero the digital readout, and I'll just show you how to do that just in a second. Now remember that we've already indicated our first position. What we can do now is we can zero out our two coordinates here, and that's now our absolute origin. Don't be confused by ALE. That's not an invitation to drink beer, although we can maybe do that later on. This is just this particular manufacturer's way of abbreviating absolute. The DRO on the lathe comes up as ABS. It's just the way that the different manufacturers do it. So we've now got our absolute coordinates in for our first position, and what we can do now is move the table over to our second position. And what we're going to do is we're going to press the up arrow key here, which is going to give us our incremental position on our second position. And so we can now move the table over to our second hole, and then we can get that indicated. So we've now indicated our second position, or our second hole, and then what we can do now is we can clear out our coordinates here, because these actually don't mean anything. We can zero these off. So what we'll do is we'll clear these. And our second position now is zeroed, and we can go ahead now and we can machine our second position.